The Rock and Roll Coffee Show is brought to you by Writers and Rockers Coffee Company, keeping the music and memories alive with some damn good coffee. Be sure to pick up your Rock and Roll Coffee Show coffee only at writersandrockerscoffee.com. And also brought to you by Retroactive, located at Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, keeping you retro with everything from 70s, 80s, and 90s. ShopRetroactive.com. Hey everyone, I am Joe Sibilia, and thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Rock and Roll Coffee Show. Now, before we get started, if you're new to the channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all of those things help support the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. On this episode, I have two great guests that are considered by many to be pioneers of the progressive tech metal genre. That is Jason McMaster of the band Watchtower and Kelly Shaefer of the band Atheist. It was a pleasure to have both of these guys on the show at the same time for this epic conversation. I hope you enjoy this bit of metal history every bit as much as I did. Leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching.
It's the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show, yeah, with Joe.
I thought it would be fun to have you guys here because, I mean, Kelly, you know, Jason, we've known each other for about 3 years now. Okay.
Yeah.
And I didn't know your full involvement in Watchtower until after we met and started talking about that.
That's fair.
And then Kelly and I have known each other for, I don't even 25 years, maybe 25 years, long time. Played in bands together.
Playing a band together, yeah.
Wow.
I did it. Filled in tour managing with Neurotica with you for a couple shows.
We played in Brian Johnson's band, which is really cool.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
I wanted to ask you guys about that. I guess now's a good time. How did that come about, and where can I hear that? Did he write the songs for you or with you?
No, he wrote the songs. So Brian Johnson in 1998 came into a little club. It wasn't even a club. It was a sandwich shop during the day and a punk rock. It was called like a punk rock deli, and so he could hold maybe 50 or 60 people. And it was in our hometown of Sarasota, and he lives in Sarasota. So he wanders in one night. We're playing Neurotica. Is when I had Neurotica, and we played together. You and I, Godzilla Motor Company in Austin, Texas. I think years ago. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yeah, of course I do. At the back room.
Yeah, so he saw this band playing, and we were actually on break at the time, and we were upstairs, and I was smoking weed with the owner, and I looked down, and I see Brian walk in. I was like, so I told the guy, I was like, we gotta go, put this fucking joint out, let's go, we gotta go play it right now before he leaves. And so we played, and long story short, he ended up producing the first Neurotica record, so we became friends, and then so there was a period of time, I think it was about 7 years that AC/DC was sort of dormant. They didn't do anything. And Brian was going crazy. And so, yeah, he mouthed out all these songs. Well, they had a band called Naked Schoolgirls. And it was a guy named Doug Kay, who me and Joe have known for a while. And he's I don't know, what would you call Doug? Doug's he's a record guy. He owns a label and now owns a label in Nashville. And was a musician as well, and was closer friends with Brian than we were. And but so Brian calls me one day and he's like, "Get me, son, will you fucking come and sing on our demo? I fucking wrote some songs. I'm fucking tired of sitting around with the boys and waiting for the boys to go on tour, and I want to fucking write some music." And I was like, "Yeah." So I mean, you know the answer to that. Brian Johnson asked you to sing in a band, you fucking sing. So he had all these songs, man, and so I went in, and I think Joe, you were already a part of it or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So I was already in there.
And I have more of a Bon Scott quality to my voice than a Brian. So it's a little more singy.
Well, I love my Bon Scott tattoo.
Oh, I got one, huh?
But
yeah.
Even though I love Brian, I don't have a Brian tattoo, so that'll give you some that'll now you know where I'm at too, son. You know.
Nice. I have so many great stories of that whole experience with Brian. So he starts this band, he calls it Big Machine, and asks us to come in and make this demo. So go in and sing on it, and
Joe's already there. But Joe's already there.
I was already there.
Joe's
How
playing
did
with the
you,
band. Yeah.
how did you start? Sorry, Kelly.
No, go ahead.
Well,
did
when
you-
when Doug and Brian were talking about getting this thing together, they needed people to play. And at the time, I was playing in a local band, and we were doing fairly well. And then Doug approached me and said, "Hey, I got these songs with Brian. We'd like you to
Wow.
play."
Okay.
I was like, "Well, say just like Kelly said, you don't say no, right? You say
Yeah.
yes."
So it was the same thing, and then Kelly drifted in with. Did you bring anybody to the table with you, Kelly?
No, there was another guy that we knew, a mutual friend named Donnie, right?
Donnie was the guitar player in my band at Glasgow
Right.
Hope at the time
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and he was a really hot shit guitar player. He was a really good, super cool kid, and played the shit out of that music. And the drummer was also originally playing in a band, playing in that Naked Schoolgirls band. So
Okay.
everybody in the band was sort of familiar with Brian except for me, and other than us working together on Neurotica. So I go in and we do it, and he gets real excited about it, and next thing you know, we're playing at CBGB's showcasing for did that happen first, Joe? I mean, I think
No,
we played it. No, we did a Sarasota show and they
we
came
did
down,
we
right?
did a first Sarasota show, sold out show, first show, and the lawyers, I forget their name, but they had Guns N' Roses, Celine Dion, Wu Tang.
Yeah, big
They
time
came down
people
to
that Brian
Florida to
brought in.
see us, and then after that, about a month later, they brought us up to New York to CBGB's to play.
Yeah, they were real excited. They were like, "We need to shop this," and so we went up to CBGB's and they hired a stylist and bought us some clothes and we stayed in a fancy hotel and it was fun, man. It was just it was a good time. And for me, coming from such underground metal, it was just a whole different experience. And yeah, so we showcased the CBGBs, and just like the record industry, I mean, I don't know how much more easy it would be to sell a record than to have Brian Johnson writing the songs. But these guys were like, well, if these guys were 22, we'd sign them right now. And they so
Right.
I mean, I was only 32 at the
Yeah, we were
time, I
only in
think,
our
and
30s.
yeah, so it was just kind of fucked up and typical record industry bullshit. And but I mean, the songs are really good, and it's Joe, do you still have it?
I do. I have
I
four of them.
don't. I don't. So you'll have to send it to Jason, check it out. But it's
Wow.
it's really, it sounds like AC/DC with Brian did a great job. He just sort of mouthed out all these songs to a band, like he's literally that guy.
Yeah, in rehearsals.
Wow.
And they just kind of wrote all the songs, and yeah, it was really, really cool. And at that one show where the lawyers came, we did rock and roll together, Zeppelin, and we did
Back in
we did
black.
Dirty Deeds. Yeah, we did Dirty Deeds together. So for me, whatever, it was already a win. I'm on stage at a sold out show, fucking singing
yeah.
Dirty Deeds with the King of Rock. So
Yeah.
and for a death metal kid, I was fucking pretty happy about it.
Oh yeah. Wow,
cool.
that's an amazing story. When Joe told me that just the other day, I'm like,
Yeah, you
fuck?
didn't know that.
It was really random, and the band really could have done great things, but it's always these pencil pushing fucking necktie people at fucking labels that are so asleep at the wheel. I mean, they're always asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, and it's also the old saying, the blind leading the sighted.
Yeah, well, that's a great saying.
Well, it's old, right? It's how it's always been.
Yeah. Well, how many times have you heard stories of the greatest bands in rock and roll were passed on numerous times by almost all the labels? It's almost a parody of itself. You think at some point that people would say, you know what? If labels hate us, we must be fucking spot on. We must be closer to the fucking sun than because it's just they never, until you actually already sort of have done the work, they typically never, and not always, but I mean, it's always been my experience that these guys are always asleep at the wheel, and in this instance they were. And so we played a bunch of shows. I played 50 or 60 shows together, and all around Florida and then in New York, and it was fun.
Under that name,
yeah, Big Machine.
Yeah. Wow.
It was cool. And
so that's cool working with Brian and him. I call that a Michael Jackson, because that's how Michael Jackson wrote all his tunes. Is he would go in with like Quincy Jones or whatever, and he'd just open up, as many tracks as he needed. Okay, here's the bass line, Here's the guitar part. He'd sing all the parts, and he'd lay down 10 or 15 tracks, and he would basically demo out all of the songs. Can't play one instrument. Can't play an instrument.
That's amazing. You know, I mean, I can't play drums, but I've mouthed out so many drum parts
Oh yeah,
to music in my catalog. You know, over the years between Neurotic and Atheist,
yeah.
And now it's really nice to have the technology where I can program drums, or you know, so
Yeah.
anything I don't have to. And you know, the nice thing about that, you know, this is a singer, is you know, to get a drum, like if you're trying to find something in a song or trying to find a melody line or whatever, to ask a drummer to just play this 150 times so that I can feel, you know what I mean? No drummer wants to
Yeah.
do that. So it's nice to
Yeah.
have today's technology to be able to write and just have a computer play the goddamn drums for a minute until I can find my groove, you know. And so but that was a tremendous experience. And Brian is
Wow.
just one of these guys that just, I mean, he's probably less assuming than any local band musician I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
He is so humble, and
I wouldn't even know. I would be reeling in my tongue off the floor if I was just standing right next to the guy.
I mean, we were secretly, you know, but I mean,
Yeah.
he would invite us to his house, and
Yeah.
like
we
many
did the 4th of July that year with Skid Row guys too there.
yeah, fucking. He also, another cool thing just for me personally was, you know, he sat and opened this 100-year-old bottle of scotch at his house with me. First of all, he called me and said, "Kelly, my son, can you bring us some fucking grass? Yeah, fucking need some weed." And I said, "Oh, sure, Brian." And so I show up at his house, and he has all these sort of dignitary looking old rich people at his house, his mansion right on the water, and he fucking clears them out like they were riffraff. This is me mate Kelly, fucking blah blah blah. You know, y'all fucking have a great night. You can go hang out with Brenda. And me and him sat on the back and got high and fucking drank this scotch. And I had never drank scotch ever, much less 100-year-old scotch. And so here I am sitting overlooking the ocean in Brian's mansion. And he goes, "Kelly, my son, you fucking remind me of Bone. You fucking remind me of Bone." And I was like,
Whoa.
no one's ever going to believe that he said that. It was just me and him. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, Jason? It's like, wow, man, I wish I could fucking videotape that, you know, because it's just me and my dad had a very tumultuous relationship. And one things, like my dad left when I was 7, and he was just always an asshole. But the one thing that we bonded on was AC/DC. And so the idea that Brian Johnson was sitting at this table telling me that I reminded him of fucking Bon Scott was like, you know, a lot of people, and I know you probably relate to this as well, that people will say, "Well, you've been playing music for so long, how come you're not rich?" It's like, I'm fucking wealthy. I am wealthy in life beyond fucking what you could ever purchase with your $1 million or your fancy car or any of that shit. You can't buy the shit that I've been fortunate enough to experience, you know.
That's exactly right.
And it is true, because you can have multi-million dollars, but Brian Johnson's never going to agree to produce your album. He's never going to sit down and drink a bottle of scotch with you and get high and fucking say, "Sound like Bon Scott." You know, and that's just a small portion of the great things that he did. He was just such a, you know, just a helpful, amazing guy. And I just, you know, and I, you know, as a young man, when me and my dad did bond on the AC/DC, I never in a million years imagined that would ever be a scenario that would happen in my life, especially being an underground metal kid. So it's pretty amazing. And I've you know, in my final days, as I lay in bed fucking ready to cash out, that'll be at the top of my list of things that I want to remember, you know, that you can't put a price on.
Well, I'll be thinking about the story that both of you guys just told me on when I'm about to cash out. I'll be going, "Damn, man, those guys are awesome." I'll be talking about you guys, the memories and the moments like that we're having right now. That's the shit that you take with you.
Yeah, no, I'm having another moment, because the 16-year-old me is fucking tripping out, and I'm fucking talking to you right now, because you don't understand. You don't understand how much you meant to us. You know, I mean,
think that's why Joe cooked this up.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. Because I was thinking, I'm like, because back to when I met Jason and I was talking to you, Kelly, and you mentioned how Watchtower and Jason were influences on Atheist. And I had, all the years I've known you, I had no idea of that either. And in my mind at that time, I was thinking Jason from Dangerous Toys had influence on Atheist. All right. So I was thinking the other day, well, now that I know both of these guys, why don't we get together and talk about this?
Yeah, what an honor, man. It's an honor to have this chat. I know that all of my prog metal friends are going to be fucking super jealous, because I get to have a one-on-one, But also, then, and as years went on, though, Jason, you ended up playing with my drummer from Neurotica, Jason West.
Yeah, that's right.
And what a lovely human being he is.
I love Jason West, and he's one of the best drummers I've ever played with.
He's so good and so sweet. Love him, man. And he came into the Neurotica fold after our original drummer bailed out, and man, he just didn't skip a beat. He was just a great performer. He did the whole Ozfest tour with us, and he's just a giggler, man. He's just always laughing and giggling, and rarely saw that kid ever have a dark side, and I've always enjoyed my time with him. And in fact, I'm going to see him actually, we're starting the tour in Austin in a few days.
I know that. I'm going to try to come down there. I live like 45 minutes from town, so it's kind of it's a little bit. I got to make plans.
I understand. If you can, just let me know so I can make sure I put you on the list. But if you can't, I completely understand. I get it, man. You got life,
I knew you would. I don't feel great whatsoever. No.
But Jason, so real quick, so most people know you from Dangerous Toys.
That's not true.
Well,
I know where Joe's coming from. as far as airplay numbers,
right?
if you're counting beans, he's right. Yeah,
right. So, but they don't. What I was getting at is Watchtower is considered to be one of the bands that really kind of put what would you call it, like technical metal or
progressive metal? Yeah, I mean,
the Watchtower really put that on the map.
Yeah, we had to come up with our own taglines, because we didn't on our like flyers and shit, when we were still in high school. So we were having to come up with taglines so people wouldn't be sold the idea that they were just coming to hear a cover band for a long time we played tons of fucking covers, but
what covers did you play?
It's the same shit everybody played: Maiden and Priest and Rush and
oh yeah,
we played Riot, we played old Riot songs, and we played Angel Witch.
You didn't play no Rush
and Raven, tons of Rush.
Okay,
tons of Rush.
Because your voice was like it's like if somebody smacked the shit out of Geddy Lee and fucking made him angry and woke him up in the morning and threw him on the mic. That's why you sounded like that.
Geddy Lee on the wrong side of the bed. Yeah. Anyway, our own taglines were things like techno thrash.
Yeah.
Or
accurate.
It was I like the term enough, math metal, because it's definitely math metal. And this is something for you. This is still on the back of your question, Joe. I remember it would have been like, late 82 or early 83, sending cassette 4-track demos of early material that to this day had never saw the light of day other than this handful of cassette tapes, to the very first fanzines I had ever heard of or gotten a hold of or had been courted by. And there were like 2 or 3 of them that were from Florida. So I don't remember the names of these fanzines. I don't remember, but it's fucking early. It's like 83. And I'm like, I had never done this before. The demo and the tape trading. It was like, I remember the first like 4-track Watchtower cassette demos that I ever licked a stamp for. I would lick like 10 of them and put it on an envelope and hope that it made it. The cassette didn't get stepped on and smashed in the mail because I couldn't.
Or X-rayed.
Yeah, because I couldn't afford a bubble envelope, bubble mailer or whatever. And
no, there were no bubble mailers back then, Jason.
It was
there was no bubble. It was a fucking old school envelope. There was no bubbles.
Jurassic, bro. So yeah, and I remember, fanzines not knowing how to categorize. I don't like being categorized, but when you're trying to review or describe something for someone else who hadn't heard it or seen it or held it in their hand. Yeah, they called it jazz metal. They said if Frank Zappa and Mahavishnu Orchestra went into a blender with Rush and started a speed metal band, that's what this would be. You know, they were throwing all these space metal, jazz metal. They were trying to, yeah, I mean, how did they?
No, well, listen, we have a parallel that you probably don't know about, because it's the same thing happened to Atheists. They'd be like, well, what is this? And they called it brain metal,
Okay,
there was
I
actually
like that.
a sticker on the album that said Florida's brain metal. And you know,
Wow.
nobody would ever be able to. So I mean, that's why I'm so excited about this conversation. Not to step on what you're saying, but
Oh,
we have so many more parallels than you're probably even aware of.
I'm
Um,
sure.
that because you know, we both had a similar path of trying to get the confusion off of people's faces when we played. You know, because I mean,
I think we were trying to create that face.
you definitely achieved that, man. And still, I mean, just still to this day, like, do you know that our bass player was buried with a picture of Doug?
You told me that story over text really not that long ago, maybe the end of last year.
It's
You
real,
were
man.
describing that to me and I was like, "What?"
Roger Patterson is a you know, a revered legend. He's been dead 32 years now, and you know, he died at 22 on our first tour. We crashed, and it almost killed me as well. And but he fucking was so excited that Doug showed up to our show in Texas,
Mm.
and I don't even know why he showed up, because it was Candlemass and Atheist, like two opposite ends of the spectrum.
What
Um,
what venue? Do you even recall?
oh my god,
I mean,
I don't. It
the
wasn't in
back room
Austin.
was. Oh, it wasn't in Austin.
No, it wasn't. I feel like it was in Houston.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Well, that's 3 hours away. It would have
Why
had
would he
to,
be there? I wonder.
me knowing Doug, it would had to have been a convenient trip
You know,
for
the
him.
only yeah. Well, I mean, I can't. And I, you know, after, you know, and this was days before he got killed. So
Oh,
the picture that got taken was so important to Roger. Like, he was just, and all of us, we were just stunned that he was there. And you
wow.
know, it was a really big deal. Watchtower was was a band that we just were like, just it spoke to us so much, because we were already like, we were huge fans of Rush and Maiden and Priest, and and then jazz like Spyro Gyra and Zappa stuff, and all that. And then just hearing, especially those bass lines, man, were
Yeah.
unfucking believable. And so for Roger Patterson, he just worshiped Doug. And so to have him show up at that show was the highlight of his life. And he got that picture, and so that's why we buried him with it. And yeah, you know, and so when he died, Doug was the first guy I reached out to see if he
Mm,
would fit it, because we had already had the second album already written, which was Unquestionable
mm,
Presence, which is now
yeah.
a classic record.
Right.
And God, you know, it would have been so cool for him to do it. And I get it, you know. Doug was like, "Ah, it's not my thing," you know. And I was like, I know it's not your thing, but man, you know, you're one of the few guys. Back then, he was one of the few guys that could pull off those bass lines.
Sure.
And so
Well,
there was it was a very I use the term talent puddle instead of a talent pool. You
yeah.
know, it was a puddle. It was a very small puddle of people that were capable of playing bass like that. And so the only other guy that was able to do it was Tony Choi, who you know, played with Cynic. Are you familiar with
Right.
Cynic?
Yeah.
So Cynic is another band that were friends of ours when we'd
I
already put
was
out.
I was lucky to, sorry to interrupt. I was
Oh,
lucky enough to do that project with Mike Portnoy, the Rush tribute with Sean Malone,
oh yeah, fucking ridiculous player.
another one
Rest in
who's
peace. Yeah,
gone too soon. Right. So yeah, I
yeah.
mean, cynic and atheist seem to be,
We come from you, man.
yeah, well, that's such, those are big words, and I
It's
thank you doesn't.
I just did a 2 hour podcast earlier today with I don't even know where the guy was, but I was just telling him about that. You know, like I said, yes, an extreme metal. Atheist and cynic are the fucking the first few words of the sentence. So, but you have to understand where we come from. You know, we come from Rush, we come from Watchtower, we come from, you know, also the fundamentals of Maiden. Maiden was one of the first
Yeah,
bands that I think
yeah,
taught us all. Oh, listen to the harmonies. listen to how great the solos are. Listen to I was telling the guy also that I learned probably more from Maiden lyrics than I did in high school.
Yeah,
About history.
that's
I never knew
normal.
what a fucking rhyme of the Ancient Mariner was. I never knew what Genghis Khan was. I mean, all those things I learned from Iron Maiden and
The Rue Morgue. What the
yeah,
hell is the Rue
murders
Morgue?
in the Rue Morgue. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
how is that different from a regular morgue?
right.
But I mean, all those things that we had never ever heard about. We learned from metal, man. It was and
Yeah.
people that don't listen to metal will probably chuckle at that, but fuck them. I mean, there was a lot of
Well,
really
it
great
it
lyrical concepts.
has to come from somewhere, especially
Yeah.
if you're kind of street kid, street smart, coming from somewhere like that. All you cared about was rock and roll. It wasn't your fault that that's what spoke to you. But it's
What's
how.
great about Watchtower also is today I went back to listen,
Mhm.
and I still can't understand what you're doing. I still listen to that and just go, holy fuck, that was
Well,
1984.
I'm sitting right here. Why don't you ask me a question? What is it that you can't understand what I'm doing? Maybe I can lay it out for you.
Well, it's just the structure of how you manage to find a way to put vocals to that fucking chaos is
Oh,
beyond me. Like
yeah.
how, because as a vocalist myself,
Oh, that right.
yeah. I mean,
so was that challenging, Jason, or is that something that comes natural to you?
Kidding me?
I think that it's important to understand that, and we've already talked about it. I've talked about it. Kelly's talked about it. Your influences come from somewhere. So, if you're growing up and you're, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, you're listening to Alice Cooper and Queen and Elton John and David Bowie and the Beatles and your brother's record collections, and then you get into Kiss and then Judas Priest, and then it gets a little heavy.
Deep Purple.
Right, Deep Purple. Yeah, the game, and even in the late 70s with around the time when Kiss is just bigger than everybody, you get into early punk rock, the Pistols record, the Ramones, and even some of the new wave stuff was really cool. I thought I had all that shit happening, coming at me at all sides with three brothers. So when you think about coming from all of that, and then metal just becomes a household name by 80, 81, 82. And then the next thing you know, there's this whole underground thing that the metal kids kind of stole from the punk rock kids with the fanzines and all the crash pads that were in the back of the fanzines, the tape trading. Everybody had their address and phone number. There was this big spider web of connectivity and underground movement that I feel like the metal dudes got from the punks. And
no question.
Yeah, it's real. And so by the time you're figuring out what you are musically, you're 16, 17, 18 years old. Okay, so I joined Watchtower when I was 18 years old, and I was coming from being in a few bands that were doing Rush and Maiden and AC/DC and Hendrix and blah, whatever, right?
When did you realize you had that range though? Like what
I never, I'm untrained, which is ironic because I've been teaching for 18 years. I've never had a lesson myself.
Me
So
neither.
yeah. And I feel like if you're in it, for yourself, and the people that may have doubted you, that's the good thing, is I never had anyone tell me, yeah, you need to work on that. I never had anyone tell me, yeah, you're going to hurt yourself if you keep doing that. I never had anyone, you're doing that all wrong. I never had anybody. And you know what? I love it that never happened. It probably would have bummed me out.
Yeah, sure.
But I never, there was no one, and there was the cool thing is when I reflect, is no one else was even trying to do what I was trying to do. So whenever I met someone who was really fucking going for it the way I was going for it, I was like, fuck yeah. I would be like excited about other singers that were just trying to break all the rules of, tiptoe through the tulips. No, there's no path. You make your own, you figure this out.
Yep.
If you want to sing up there, if you want to sing down there, if you want to sing over there, you should just do it. Because
see, most people had time within the structure of a song, but not only were you a great high singer with this incredible range, but you also had to it was like you had to fit into this. I mean,
Yeah.
a level of progressive. Like there was no room for you to put vocals in there.
Yeah.
They didn't write that music for you to have a space to be comfortable. There's
no,
nowhere for you to be comfortable.
They were trying to.
They were unbelievable.
Yeah, they were trying to be as chaotic as possible.
It was like if Rush did a whole 8-ball of cocaine and fucking rolled into the fucking studio and said, "All right, man, let's go," you know, and Getty was all geeked out. I mean, that's what it felt like to us as kids.
I describe it as, and this is old. I've been saying this for years. The first time I heard it was like, you know, imagine having, you know, a drum kit and guitars and bass and amplifiers and just throw it all down the stairs, but make sure it's mic'd up and hit record before you throw it all down the stairs.
But you know what? That's insulting to that because it was way more contrived, way more specific. But I know what you're saying.
It was.
To the average listener, yes, they go, "Oh my God."
That's right. But I bring it back in when I say in time and in tune.
Right, there you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
very much.
You know, I'm singing all this, you know, I don't mean anything bad by this, but caveman heavy metal, you know, Judas Priest and AC.
Knuckle Dragon,
yeah, big beat rock. And I am talking about Priest and Maiden and Deep Purple and whatever, right? Just big 4 on the floor, right? Heavy, Sabbath, whatever, go. So by the time it's, you know, 81, 82 and Crazy Trains all over the radio, I was like, wow, this is, you know, shit's starting to move around. And then you know what happens after that. In hearing these guys, because I joined Watchtower in May of 1982, and we did all the same covers. The first song I ever sang with Watchtower was like it was in Billy White's bedroom, was Motorcycle Man by Saxon.
Oh, wow.
You know that song?
I don't know that song, but I know of Saxon, and I have a great Biff story.
Nice.
But so that's weird because 82 I was 14, so I was just learning to play guitar at that point. So I wasn't as schooled. I'm 54 now, so so that would have been pre me really discovering underground metal.
I'm 4 years older, so
you're handsome.
The first time, thanks. The first time that we were there to like, hey, we got some new songs and we wrote some lyrics, and they hand me a sheet of paper with these lyrics, and I'm going, you wrote this shit? And I'm reading this shit, and my mind is blown. And they're like, see if you can, you know, just we'll tell you when to start singing, we'll tell you when to stop. And I'm like, okay, sure, you know. And then some of the earlier material was a little more caveman than what the world knows to be Watchtower-esque. Right. But it was still like ripping, you know. To me it was fucking ripping. Yeah. So when you think about, you know, it was easier for me to sing the earlier Tower compositions because of the story I'm telling. But by the time like 84 and 85 came around, and some of the songs that ended up on Energetic, and then the demos I did before I split, which would have been on the demo in 1987 with Instruments of Random Murder and Control and Resistance and the Fall.
Brilliance.
The shit that's on. Put it this way, about 6 or 7 of the songs that are on the second record that Alan Tecchio is on, I wrote
those.
Yeah, I wrote those melody lines and all that shit. So here's a scenario, just day in a life. Here's the lyrics. Okay. Wow, that's fucking crazy. What time signature is that? It's like 13/7 or something.
Yeah,
I'm like, hut, you know, what?
Yeah, that's insanity.
What are you talking about? They go, yeah, it's my neighbor's phone number. But anyway, you know, because those guys could look up a phone number and play time signatures using someone's phone number. You know,
yeah,
it's a 5, it's a 1, it's a 2, it's a 9, it's a 7, it's a 2, it's a right. And that would be, they could write a song using someone's phone number. That's how fun
I love that.
Those guys are. So anyway, they hand me lyrics and they go, okay, I'm going to tap on your toe. So I'm standing with a microphone in my hand and a lyric sheet waiting for Billy to tap my toe with his foot. And that was the one.
So Billy was guiding the way, or was Doug?
Or either one. Either one would, it depends on what song it was.
They're both standout players, you know, and
yeah.
So
they would tell me where to come in and then where to stop. And then after a while I was like, I got it. But you're not wrong, because if you're reading the lyrics, it's like, you know, it's flying by. It would have to fly. There's no melody when you just kind of like phonetically read it out.
Right. Well,
when you're phonetically
do you play music
the,
at all? Guitar or drums?
I do. I started out playing bass when I was about 12.
Okay.
And when I moved to Austin from South Texas, I was a bass player. I was not a singer.
So you had an understanding, though. That's why I was trying to figure out how you were able to, no matter whether somebody was stepping on your toe or not, how the fuck because things were coming and going real quick. There was no time for you to develop a melody.
Well, and no one was teaching me other than I was just learning frames and signatures as they flew in front of my face. And we rehearsed like 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah, we did too.
So I mean, it was my reason for living. It's just what we fucking did.
I hated a day off of practice. I loved to go into we had a warehouse, and we would write songs in front of 100 people. It was and argue and almost get in fights with each other. And their drummer would click sticks, and we would play the fucking sickest fucking shit. People were like, "Oh my god!" They thought we were gonna fight and kill each other. And that tension, I think, is important. Did you guys have that tension when you were writing?
Not very often, but you know, the how fast Watchtower became a super tight unit, I think is at this, you know, was by 84. I mean, we were already, you know, starting to put the energetic songs together and had stopped playing covers altogether. And you know, we would play like someone's private party, and we would do all Rush songs as a gag, you know.
Do you have any of that on video?
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, I need to check that out.
I think there's a version of us playing Free Will Rush on YouTube.
Come on.
Yeah. But anyway, 2112, we did side 1 of 2112. That's all out there on YouTube.
As Watchtower?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, man.
Yeah, as early as when I'm talking about, like 85, 86.
So, you know, I'm getting ready to go on tour with Cynic, right?
Yeah, I know.
So
we're going to be in Austin in like a week.
Yeah, well, I didn't know whether you knew it was with Cynic or not. And Cynic is closer to Watchtower by far than we are. Like the sound, especially early Cynic, and Paul Masvidal is one of the most brilliant guitar players in the game. And he actually wrote all the music for that 70s show, and he wrote a record with Jim Carrey, like a children's book. He wrote all the music for this children's book that Jim Carrey. He's just a brilliant.
Oh, he's like a Mark Mothersbaugh.
So, but he lives for Watchtower as well.
You know who Mark?
I don't know who that is. No, I don't
know who that is either.
That's the singer for Devo. So the singer for Devo, Mark Mothersbaugh,
is brilliant.
He writes like the soundtrack for like Nickelodeon shows, like Rugrats and all that kind of shit. He writes.
He's getting paid.
He's fucking brilliant, and he's fucking weird, and I love that combination.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Paul is that guy. He's just a tremendous talent, and man, I mean, we you know, I don't know how much you know how important you and that band are to so many of progressive extreme metal is a real force to be reckoned with these days. And Watchtower is Greece. You know what I mean? When I say Greece, it's the fucking beginning of civilization for us. And this is something that is just means the world to me, Jason, because it's it's been 34 years or 35 years or so since this band started. And I'd love that I get to have this conversation with you. And then it's like it's just really important to me in my life because well, you know how it is. It's like there's certain bands that really just plug in that are absolutely fucking responsible for the inspiration of what became a career for myself and my friends.
Yeah.
And I know that Paul and the guys in Cynic and Sean Reinert, who's dead now as well, Sean Malone's dad, Both of those guys, just you'll see Watchtower shirts, even Chuck Schuldiner
Yeah.
Watchtower shirt. So
He-
many of
he
the legendary
championed
people. Oh yeah,
he
like
championed Watchtower till the end.
and we still try to tell young kids about Watchtower all the time. And like, what? And I'm like, just fucking Google it, man. Like
Yeah.
that music and the way you guys perform were just is still really untouchable, man. I mean, I don't know that there's anything. Animals as Leaders is a new
Yeah.
band. Have you ever heard
Yeah.
them?
Yeah,
So,
a lot of younger kids who got into whatever weirdo metal or whatever, the shit we're talking about, they talk about that band a lot.
oh man, Animals as Leaders are fucking brilliant, but
Yeah.
they come from Cynic, Atheist, Watchtower. Fucking, I think that, just it's important that young kids know
Yeah.
where things come from. History is very important. In order to
Yeah.
know where things are going, you got to know where it's been. And for us, Zappa, Watchtower, Spyro Gyra, fucking
Voivod.
Level 42.
Yeah.
No, actually, not Voivod was
Not Voivod, really?
Voivod was not a factor in Cynic or Atheist at all. Like for
Well,
us, I mean,
they have if to take myself out of the
they're a
equation.
great band, but I'm not sliding them in any way. I just
No, I know you're not, but they also created their own thing and their own
Yes,
way
sir.
and their own face and their own.
Yep, and it was different.
I feel like maybe Watchtower had that. Like that's why I'm trying to separate myself a little bit, because I'm talking about myself. But the thing that they created became a thing, and it's still going, and they were able to, whatever was thrown at them, they were able to overcome. They were in it for the long haul, and it was really hard for Watchtower to sustain any of that. So it's impressive to me that a band like Watchtower would start something arguably a pioneer. I say arguably because, once again, it's my humble way of just saying, I'm not trying to make it be about me.
Fuck that. I'd smack the shit out of somebody that said it wasn't arguable. But I mean, like, that's how important Watchtower is to this. And anybody who says different doesn't fucking understand.
Right.
And that's just the way it is, man. So it is not arguable at all. It's a fact, man. And you guys, you posted on Facebook that you guys were going to maybe do something new, right? You're gonna come back and maybe play some shows?
We're rehearsing tomorrow.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I would love
to
be a fly on the wall. Yeah, to be a fly on the wall for that fucking rehearsal.
Well, it's almost 11.
I'll be in Austin in a minute.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be in Austin.
Kelly's coming into town a little early.
Catch your flight tomorrow.
Listen, me and Paul Masvidal both would fucking shit down our leg to fucking sit at a Watchtower fucking rehearsal, man. I mean, that would be a full circle moment that would mean a lot to us. But anyway, I just, that excites me beyond. I mean, you do realize the marketability of that? Like, you could play the festival circuit right now, fucking play Vakken. Everyone would, that shit would be booked instantly. Like,
yeah, Doug kind of, like, that post it was kind of like a secret, disclosed location, and I was being all spy about it, and
that was exciting for us to see that.
Yeah, I threw that photo out there, and we were all goofing in the photo and having a great time playing songs we wrote when we were children.
I feel you.
And yeah. And I told Doug about it. I said, yeah, this fucker, like 3 days, got over 1,000 hits. And then Rick was like, of course it did. People fucking never left that shit. And I'm like, wow, it's crazy. And Doug was like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah. And he rolled his eyes. He was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, why the fuck not? Fuck this.
Not only should you do that, but do it big. I mean, listen, we went away for 14 years. We broke up in 93, came back in 2005.
Yeah.
And reissued the records. I covered my tattoo. I had already moved on with Erotica. You and I played together with Godzilla Mode Company in Austin. Yeah. Like, I was moving on to the rock world. And I actually...
That was like what, 99?
No, 98.
98, wow.
Yeah. So and I just think that I I almost landed the Velvet Revolver gig. So
Wow.
I auditioned in 2003, and Slash called me, and I flew to LA and
Far out.
and did that gig, and they'd gone through like 600 singers, like listening to all these tapes, and I
How is
made it
that?
in I made it in Slash's book. Even I was like super excited about that. I don't
Wow.
say that to boast. I just say that as a fanboy, like
You were in
Right.
Duff's
No,
book
that's
too, by
pretty.
the way.
what's
Did you
Say
that?
know?
again.
You're in Duff's book too.
And who?
In Duff McKagan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No
I
shit.
have it. I'll find
Look
it.
at
I'll
you,
show
bro.
That's awesome. I fucking didn't know that. Yeah, but fuck, man. I remember our manager, the Doug K, the guy that played in Big Machine with us. He was a manager for Neurotica, and when I read Slash had put this post out that said there are no real rock singers in rock and roll anymore, and I was like, fuck you. I fucking called
Yeah.
Doug, and I was like, send him the Neurotica because we had just broken up, and he was like, oh, come on, dude. He's like, he's in LA. He's got the fucking cream of the crop of all the singing. I said, so shits and wipes his ass like everybody else. Fucking send him the CD. If he doesn't like it, he didn't like it.
Right.
Fucking 3 days later, man, I'm sitting in a bar having shots, and fucking I missed the call, and I check my voicemail, and it's like, hey Kelly, it's Slash. Me and Duff just sat and listened to this record, and it's like, this classic moment. I was like, so I'm sitting with these guys. I was like, you're never gonna fucking guess who just left a voicemail for me, and I
Right.
let everybody listen to it, and I was so excited about it. But
Oh, that's pretty great, man.
oh, it was unbelievable. And so he got on the phone with me, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you 3 songs. At that point, it was just called The Project, and
Mhm.
Izzy Stradlin was still involved at that point.
Wow.
So to me, it was like fucking holy shit, what a weird moment that nobody would ever expect.
Did you track those songs?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was so I they sent me 3 songs, and they weren't very good songs. I'm just saying. I know that they
That's
sent me
fair.
the
That's
no,
fair.
they had 36 songs written. I feel
Yeah.
like they sent me the 3 worst, and that was smart of them.
They
You
wanted
know
you
what
to
I mean?
save them.
They wanted to see what I could make out of shit, and because I've heard the other songs, and I wish I would have had a crack at fucking some of the songs a while and had an
Yeah.
opportunity to do. So I go out there, and I feel like, and maybe you can relate to this a little bit. I So I did the 3 songs, and in the studio sent them back to them, and Duff and Slash called me on a conference call and said, come to LA, dude. It sounds fucking awesome. I was like, get the fuck out of here. So off I go to LA, and Matt Sorum picks me up, and I'm riding with Matt Sorum, and again, I'm an underground metal kid, so but I always had respect for Guns N' Roses. I always felt like out of all those bands in the hair days, they had fucking balls. They had
Oh
moxie,
yeah. Yeah.
and I had respect for them. And so did metal. And Skid Row was another band that also had that same moxie.
Yep.
Like if you were a hardcore metal kid, you still had to respect Skid Row. They were delivering, man. And
Yeah.
and I always felt that way about that. And so I we went to Mates in LA. I'm sure you've been there before.
Yeah.
Rehearsal, and Thin Lizzy was rehearsing there. Sebastian Bach was there as well, and he ended up being one of the guys who thought he was going to get the gig. And
Oh.
so Rolling Stone ran this article. So it was Travis Meeks from Days of the New, myself. Oh God, there was 4 of us.
Wow, I
Travis Meeks.
forgot all about Days of the New.
God, they were great. That first album was so fucking good, man. So anyway, it was him, Sebastian, myself, and God damn it, there was somebody else. And Rolling Stone runs this article. It's like a 2-page article, and so it's the greatest audition that I never got. And,
I went to, it was like day before Thanksgiving. It was probably like 1990, I think. And I went to Duff's house.
oh yeah,
Yeah, I was dating someone who was friends with his wife at the time. And we went over there, and he was fucking wasted.
he's
And yeah,
he's lucky
and
to be alive.
and it was just us. He had a little house on Mulholland Drive, I believe, and yeah, it was crazy. He had a dog named Chester, and I remember him all fucked up singing my buddy to his dog, and I'm like, whoa, this is true. And I walk in, and I think his wife's name was Megan, and they had all the multi-platinums, it was just wallpaper, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, fuck all that, humble. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, dude, it's pretty rad, actually.
Yeah.
And he's going, yeah, my wife just insists that stuff. I said, yeah, give it a minute.
But those things are valuable. You know what I mean? Like when you look up and you treasure somebody and they acknowledge you, it's nice, man. And I don't mind. I don't try to hide that and pretend like it doesn't matter to me. It's a big fucking deal. And
Well, it
this
matters.
to me is a big deal, Jason.
Well, and
You and I right now, like
I was just going to go full circle. The fact that Joe kind of brought us together so we could shoot the shit and tell stories and basically have a campfire.
Yeah.
I think is incredible. And the story you just told, I mean, you're telling me your Watchtower belief. You're a true believer, important. And so you're telling me like this. It's the same thing. It's the same story. With me hearing you say that, because I have the same respect for you. So it's kind of
that blows that's amazing. I
gone full circle.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for doing this, buddy.
Yes.
This is perfect. This is exactly what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting I needed to do a lot of talking, because I know you both like to talk, and I knew, Kelly, how big of a fan you were of Jason. I knew Jason's respect of you.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jason, you even said before Kelly got on, he's like, I have a lot of questions for Kelly.
I can't believe that. I can't even believe that you know who the fuck I am, first of all.
Well, I was gonna remember when I was talking about the old fanzines and how I'm licking stamps and sending out cassette tapes and shit. I wondered how the Florida scene, because I was kind of, when I heard Nasty Savage, when I heard
they're very important.
That whole, yes, they are, and they're early. They're sort of a pioneering band from the area, and
hugely important to the Tampa metal scene.
And so 83, 84, they're already in Texas playing because they had airplay. I mean, Joe Anthony down in San Antonio was playing their fucking Wage of Mayhem demo on the air, and San Antonio metal freaks were going, what the fuck is this? So he played it every weekend, and so it just became this whole thing. And so there were some people caught wind of it, and they booked some shows in Austin and San Antonio and Houston. And there was these guys out of Houston, they called themselves the Doom Society, and they were just this group of people that were basically a group of tape trading nerds, right? Yeah. And they were all about it, and they were at all of the Texas shows. It was like this Texas. You
did some shows together, didn't you?
The Texas Wage of Mayhem tour or something like that.
But didn't Watchtower and Nasty Savage do shows together?
I did not.
No, really.
Everybody thinks that the myth and the lore of what I'm speaking of here is that Watchtower was on the bill, and it's not true. There's a band called Militia. I don't know if you remember a thrash band from Austin called Militia. That's okay. So Militia was on all of the Nasty dates, and they're from Austin. So they've, of course, played the Austin show, and they played the San Antonio show, and they did the Houston show. And there were other locals on the bill in those respective. Militia did them all. And there was one in Houston that might have been with like San Antonio Slayer or Hellstar or something. I can't even remember it but it was like 84 or 85 or something. And there's a Militia just reissued all of their old demos on this beautiful vinyl, and I wish I had my copy. It's at Mike, the singer's house. He's still my greatest friend. And somebody just reissued this beautiful of all the Militia demos. Anyway, there's a booklet inside. And the centerfold is a picture from Consolidated Arts Warehouse in Houston, Texas, where Ronnie had pulled me and Mike on stage, and we're all three, like it's like Ronnie, Mike, and me, and we're all in this big bear hug, and we're thrashing. We're all headbanging, thrashing on stage during a Nasty song on stage at this show, and there's a pit. It's just the greatest moment in time. When I look at the photo, I weep. And that's inside this booklet. So that's how important Nasty Savage is. Now back to my point where I was basically saying I was looking to Florida early on and trying to figure out how did young kids such as yourself, probably skateboard, punk rock, heavy metal, fuck the whole thing, living in Florida, start to have this budding metal scene as early as 82, 83, 84, hear about this little band from Watchtower that was no one at the time. We were playing keg parties in people's backyard. We were 18, 19 years
It
old.
was tape trading though. That's
Okay.
tape trading. Absolutely 100% tape trading.
Wow.
That was everything back then. And Nasty Savage taught us that. Nasty Savage is so fucking important and is so understated in the Tampa Bay metal scene that it's criminal. And David Austin is my good friend now, and
Did you hear that I'm making a record with him right now?
Oh, I fucking did, buddy. I did.
Okay.
And that just makes me smile in my heart, man, because
Good.
I
Me
know
too.
what it means to David, and I know what David means to me. And so let me tell you about the David Austin thing. I, as a young man, would go to the Sunset Club and we would all Morbid Angel, Obituary, everybody was there to see Nasty Savage. They were the first guys to show us, hey, you don't have to play covers. Make your own fucking music. Get a record deal. Ben would sell records out of the back of his big blue fucking car that he had. We always looked at those guys and we would go to those shows. And that was in the days where punk rock had not infused itself into metal. So nobody ever moshed. We would just pile on each other and headbang. Everybody would just fucking headbang. So it wasn't a violent thing. It was just this camaraderie of headbanging and watching Ronnie in his heyday smashing TVs and Dave rolling his eyes back in his head and fucking, and I tell Dave still to this day, we, played with him on 2 occasions, but we would go to the shows all the time and always come back to our warehouse inspired because musically they had a bass player called Dezo Bartha, who was just a huge inspiration to Roger Patterson as well, along with Doug Heiser. So Dezo Bartha was like they were just more technical than people ever gave them credit for because Ronnie's vocals were very high and there was a lot of theatrics. So not a lot of people paid attention to the mechanics of the quality of Nasty Savage music and the harmonies, the cool, weird harmonies that they had between Ben and David. And so I ended up when in 2010, when Jupiter came out, our 4th album, it was the first album that we had done in 14 or 15 years. And David Austin wrote me a letter and said, I can't stop playing this fucking song. But he was just, I'm paraphrasing, but he was just so complimentary. And I was like, you have no idea what this, like, you are my fucking, I can't believe you're writing me right now, telling me this, right? And so anyway, we became friends and talked and are still really, really good friends beyond music. And I just have so much respect for him. And I had to try to explain to him, like, you have to make music, David. You have to continue. You can't stop playing music. And your style is so unique and weird, and you were so important to. Maybe the other bands won't shout you out because it's different than the deep guttural shit, but they showed us how to fucking do it. And they did it in a different way than Sabotage, which was a very popular band in Florida.
Yep, I love Sabotage.
Yep, and they're owed a lot of credit, but that was still a little fluffy for us. We needed a little dirtier and grimier. And Nasty Savage showed us, hey, this is fucking packed clubs, and we would just I remember walking through those clubs, and legends of today's metal were all kids walking through there. Morbid Angel, Massacre, Atheist, just all of us were just Obituary. Before Obituary was called Executioner, we were called Ravage. Really, we were really, really young. Yeah. They just showed us that, hey, man, you can do this. You can play your own music, stand on 2 legs of your own, and get a record deal. And that's what we strived for. And they really led the way in that, and they don't get any credit in that.
No, they realized that they didn't want to be part of the world that already existed, so they created their own.
Sure did, man. Yeah. And the theatrics of Ronnie were just unlike anything else.
He's off the chain. There's only one of that guy.
Yeah,
They say he broke the mold when they made that guy. They're not lying. The guy is unbelievable.
Well, their shows were legendary. I mean, they were just, and I some of the funnest times of my life at a show. Probably some of my funnest shows I've ever been to. Nasa's having shows. So yeah, it's great that you're doing something with him now, because I know what it means to him, and I know what it means.
I called him
to me.
I called him.
Me and you need to do a song together.
Yeah,
I'm gonna write something, and you better fucking sing on it, because that'll make my fucking world, man.
Let me check my email. No, you hadn't sent it yet. What's the holdup? So I mean, David sent me some rough stuff already, and it's fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's crazy sounding. So
because I know he has a love of like roots, like UFO and that kind of shit. Is it like that, or is it modern?
Well, I can't really say anything other than there was a lot of harmonies and jagged parts. So it's weird.
Wow.
In the way that he would want someone like me to sing on it.
So where are you at vocally these days? Because I mean, we're both in our 50s. I know that I'm a different man than I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
How do you rise to the occasion? You don't do drugs, or you don't smoke pot, or you don't smoke cigarettes, you don't drink.
No, Jason don't party. I'm no fun at all.
Yeah, but that means you got a way better voice than all of us.
Well, I've learned a lot by taking my own medicine, and what I mean by that is I've been teaching for a long time now, and so just realizing the things that I had to realize as a singer who's aging and voice changing, and going from doing what I did in the early days in Watchtower to actually having to sing in better pitch and have groove and write hooks, with the Dangerous Toys thing.
Dangerous Toys, yeah, that shit was funny.
I had to really learn how to sing a rock and roll song, as opposed to Instruments of Random Murder, which is just like machine gun syllables and crazy. More like
that song is still stuck in my head. But mind you, like
which one?
Hey man, I think I like being scared. I mean, like that's 30 plus years ago, right?
Yeah.
I don't come from that world, so. So for a death metal kid to have that hook stuck in my head like that, it says a lot about you, song. Yeah, it's a fucking great song. Great song. That's it. At the end of the day, a good song is a good song.
Yeah, so, it doesn't matter.
Why don't you go out and do some of that anymore?
Oh, I do.
Oh, he does.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're playing. We're playing in August. We've got 3 or 4 shows. We're doing Austin. We're doing the whiskey. We've got some stuff in.
So how do you handle that material now? Do you feel comfortable with it?
Oh yeah, we're still standard tuning. I hit all the notes. Yeah.
You fucker.
Well, I have to.
Well, I know, but that doesn't mean have to and being able to are two different things, my man.
Well, like I was saying, I really have to rely on what
being healthy.
What I do. Yeah, I have to rely on what
discipline.
The shit I'm selling to my students,
Yeah. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
I'm not, dude. I'm still in that fucking Jaeger bomb drinking, smoking. I'm still in that fucking world, man. And I'm not proud of it, but it's just.
Well, let's talk about that. It's conditioning. It's if as long as you can do your songs justice and put on the show that you need to be putting on, and not kill yourself doing it. Like, how do you feel when you do a couple shows in a row, 3 shows in a row, 4 in a row? How do you feel vocally?
No, I do 30 in a row.
Yeah, but my point. That's my point.
How do I feel? When I come home. So here's the thing, Jason. I am a creature of adrenaline. So on tour, I can go, but as soon as I come home and I stop, I fucking crash. I mean, I can't talk for a week. I can't. I feel like shit. But it's like getting in a fight. It's like you fight if somebody punches you in the face and you're in a bar fight. you fight and you don't think about, oh God, I'm out of breath.
Yeah.
You just fight. And so
Yeah.
I do that on tour. It's not healthy though. At this point, I'm 54. I've got to find a better way of getting through this. Now I'm getting ready to do the same kind of tour where I'm doing
Right.
30 shows in a row at 54
Right.
fucking years old.
So
19 songs, 90-minute set.
yeah,
I've
that's a
never
lot.
done a 90-minute set. So
So
I'm
so
going to learn a
do
lot about myself on this upcoming tour.
so
But
doing
I
so
also don't
doing
have to hit those notes you hit though. So I don't have to hit
yeah,
those.
that it doesn't matter. They're just notes.
Oh no, those are
It's a
fucking.
It's
That's the
well,
special note.
you have to think about your own kung fu. There, you know, I mean, I do what I do, and it's conditioning, and I'm used to doing it. But there's a certain way that I do it. If I get too, here's an example. If I get too excited and just completely get overwhelmed by what's happening in the room, and let's say it's sold out, and it's just the craziest mayhemic world, and I'm so happy, and I'm just like totally going for it. If I'm not paying attention to what it is I'm doing, I will blow my voice out. So over the years, I've had to learn to not get so excited
Yeah,
and
That's
stay
hard.
calm
Hmm.
and sing the song without over pushing. Don't push so hard. Don't sing so loud. Turn your monitors up. All of these technical things that you don't think about when you're young and bulletproof.
Right.
As an older gent now, I have to really think about it, and I think that that's the longevity that I've been able to keep, being able to play those songs in the right Watchtower, Dangerous Toys, whatever. It's all standard tuning. It's all I'm hitting all the notes. It's all still there. Now in Watchtower, it's really hard to stay in control because of that crazy music. You just want to roll around on the floor and look like a maniac.
Yeah.
And the last couple of rehearsals that we did that you're aware of because you saw my post, after a few songs, we're starting to get into our old shoes again and run around and jack with each other while we're playing the songs and everything. And then after a few more songs, Doug and Ron will both be like, "Man, these songs are hard to play."
Yeah, fuck, are you kidding me?
It
What
is
an understatement,
hilarious.
man.
It's just
kidding me?
hilarious to hear these guys who, wrote the shit, or were just used to being able to rolling around on the floor and not missing a note at all.
Yeah.
Are now, it's like, damn, this is like, whoa, I'm dizzy. This is crazy. I don't even know if I was playing the right part. It's the same thing. It's like, hey, slow it down a little bit so you can hit all the right notes. But it's more of like, you don't have to like, it's not real blood. You can use fake blood. You can put on the same show. You don't have to actually really hurt yourself to let them know, oh my God, Jason, he was really going for it. No, now they say, damn, he's an old man and he's still singing those high notes. See what I mean? That's the same compliment.
Do you know Todd LaTorre?
Who?
You know Todd LaTorre from Queensrÿche?
I do. I have recently befriended him. I've had him on my my podcast a couple times.
Man,
he doesn't warm up. Todd, how do you warm up? Todd, how do you warm up? A coffee and a smoke.
I gotta. That makes me a little happy. I'm sorry.
Do you know
Todd?
Todd?
Guilty pleasure with that. Oh yeah. I know Todd.
Yeah.
And he's a Bradenton kid. He came from the next town over from me, and played with Crimson Glory, obviously. And those guys were good friends of ours. We practiced 2 days or 2 warehouse bays away from Crimson Glory in the early days of Crimson Glory and Atheist before we got signed. So I used to hear Midnight sing every night.
Nice.
Oh my God.
That's a legend, man. You're
What
talking like
Jesus
you need
Christ.
to write a book. You need to write a book just about what your ears heard and what your eyes saw.
Oh man, he would. I remember them doing Jawbreaker.
Oh yeah.
Fuck, man. I wish people could have heard. I miss him. Midnight was he's a tortured guy, man, but what a beautiful man and what a fucking unbelievable voice. And so I just feel like Todd's like this superhero who I don't know how the fuck he does it, man. And a killer drummer.
Yeah, he's a
nice person, super talented.
Force to be reckoned with. The story on how, since you know Todd, I like to tell this story. I saw Queensryche support Judas Priest a couple of times early last year or whatever, right? And I here in the area, I saw him well, it's called Cedar Park, but it's North Austin. And then I went down to San Antonio and saw him too. And I saw him because he's running his own social media, and I just saw, and I'm like, oh shit, that's the Queensryche dude. And I just tweeted at him. I threw something at him. I just saw you destroy Central Texas supporting Priest. I don't. That was unbelievable. Me and my friends won't shut up about it. Fucking kudos, yay. That was so incredible.
Bad man.
Great hearing those songs done with power and so good.
Dude, he opens with Queen of the Reich.
Yeah. So he reached right back out to me. He was like, dude, I go, oh, I think I may have led with, you don't know who I am. I'm just random. But I just wanted to say,
he knows who the fuck you are.
Just saw you play live. And he comes back and he's like, I know who you are.
Who the fuck you are.
I was in like 10th grade, and me and my buddies went to a Dangerous Toys cult concert in Florida, and we saw you. I saw you when I didn't have pubic hair. Some shit like that.
He's another great talent that's like yourself, just unassuming and humble, and
sent me his number. I gave him a call.
Great guy.
And I was like, dude, this is crazy. And he was like, right. And he just wanted to go, dude, I just wanted to tell you that. Oh, I know he was at the studio working with Zeus. You know that producer, Zeus?
I don't.
He works, I think he records his solo record with this guy, Zeus, who's done Shadows Fall and all kinds of modern metal shit. Yeah. And he tells the story. He's like sitting there and he's like, holy shit, he's in the studio with Zeus. And he's like, holy shit, Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys just, like, you think he knows he didn't think. He's like, dude, that's the guy from Watchtower or something like that. So that whole thing came back amazing. Full circle too. But we were on the phone for an hour like two 12-year-old girls hanging out at the mall. And we started talking about singing and styles, and I said, dude, I gotta have you on my podcast, man. We gotta talk about this shit. And he's like, fuck yeah. So we had like the first episode we did with Todd, we were on there 3 hours. It's a 3-hour episode, and we're just talking about shop. We're just talking shop and about technique and
we just did 90 minutes, my friend,
Well, I knew that was going to happen. And I do feel bad that Joe's just sitting there going, holy shit.
No, this is exactly what I was hoping for, because I love hearing the stories. I love hearing you two talk about this stuff.
There's so much, and I haven't even gone into, oh my God, the just how important it was to, and I can't wait for people to watch this. I can't wait for Atheist fans to watch this, because I know how important Watchtower is to all of the true old school prog extreme metal fans. And so it would be like if I were watching I don't know, fucking Robert Fripp and Geddy Lee hang out and fucking have a chat. I'd be like,
wow, yeah, that would.
And hold on, I don't mean that to be like assuming that we're anywhere in that fucking realm, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
Those two minds talking would be like so interesting to me, because I just have so much respect for both of those guys. So I know that other kids watching this are going to be like watching us, just have so much admiration for each other. And it's just, it's one of the greatest things about getting old, Jason, is that that you can, I don't know, just I'm sure that you feel the same way, that sometimes you lay in bed at night and you think, fuck, man, wish I was 29 again, wish I could just start this over again. And then at other times you go, I wouldn't trade this for the world. Like, I love being 54, and
I say that more. I say that more often. I say I don't want to go back with all of the shit I had to go through and learn about myself.
Sure.
The experiences that I have. I wouldn't want to go back. Sure, are there embarrassing moments? Fuck yeah. Did I make bad decisions? Fuck yeah, I made bad decisions. Do I have the power to live in regret of this, or to not live in regret? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And
it's good to be 50.
And you don't want to go back and say, I would do these things different. Well, you don't learn shit if you did everything perfect the first time.
That's right. Listen, life is about mistakes. That's what helps you build your snowball. You know, it rolls
Yeah.
down the hill and collects snow, and at the bottom of the hill is where it's at, and that's where we are. We're at the bottom of the fucking hill, and our snowballs are big, and
Yeah,
and I like it, man.
the rest of this shit is free.
Yeah.
let me ask you guys this, because I can ask both of you, because you're both kind of the same situation, coming from that Watchtower and Atheist into a Dangerous Toys and Neurotica, which is a totally different scene.
Yeah.
Was that a
Yeah,
hard
like
transition as far as
extreme to a hard rock.
yeah, was
extreme to-
that, I mean, was that a hard transition for you guys personally?
I was saying I want to go first because,
Yeah.
like I was saying a minute ago, I'll just touch on that for memory purpose. It was weird singing this techno thrash and then singing something with, like, you know, a major scale melody with a hook with harmonies on it over something that's, you know, 120 BPMs. Or slower, or a shuffle beat, or a groovy thing, or, you know, and Kelly can say the same thing.
Well, I had two different vocal styles, so I had to come from a world that hates fucking clean vocals. So Atheist was like very screamy and very creator-ish, and then I remember starting Neurotica, and I literally sometimes would turn around, I would face the drummer. I was so terrified. And if you look at Neurotica, Joe, you know this, I used to wear sunglasses on stage because I was so concerned about my extreme metal people fucking laughing at me. And I would look out and I could see two people like talking to each other in their ear at an outdoor show and feel like they were fucking laughing at me. So I put sunglasses on so that
Not just any sunglasses.
Yeah, big ass fucking sunglasses. And I and that to me was my protection, my shield. From that. And so it was really hard for me to go from to singing harmonies and melodies, and so that was a little different because you still took your, if anything, it was you refined your high quality and all the range that you had, and you honed it into songwriting skills and hooks, and you know, you wrote a hit song. You wrote a song that is a fucking legit hit song to this day. Like I don't have that. So it's and I just having the two vocal styles was really weird for me. For you, I would imagine it was two different genres of music. So, you know, going to
it was more
Watchtower
about
to Dangerous Toys.
I get that, and I hear you, and I want to comment on the story you just told about your shield and the people talking. You know, I have some feelings about that and some reflection. It was more for me. You're not wrong, because in Watchtower I didn't really do gutturals, or, you know, it wasn't too hardcore, for lack of a better terminology. But using my chest voice properly on Scared, right? Or I'm singing melodic in my chest voice and not in my mixed voice or my screechy, you know, angry Geddy Lee thing, which is what I did most of my painkiller, like the painkiller throat, you know, like Rob Halford, just
torque.
Right out
tons of torque.
Singing entire songs up there for 2 hours, you know, was
insane.
What I was used to. So, you know, coming down into my chest and literally having to use this in a proper way was tough.
I bet.
And that's really what I meant. Now, the whole thing about sort of like changing hats kind of thing stylistically, and having enough of a footprint with your previous group, and then being in a different light on a different bill with different kinds of bands and
different fans.
Different light, different attitude, different world. That was fun for me. I was unaffected by that, but you know that I got some shit for leaving Watchtower.
Yeah, sure.
You know that I did. So I remember standing in clubs and having like being ganged. Well, I'm being dramatic, but 2 or 3 dudes standing there going, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, like challenging my decision, you know, like, the fuck are you doing? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that was before social media. So imagine if you had done that, if you had made that transition during the the height of social media like it is now,
man.
you would have taken more blows to the face. And
That's right.
you know, in Neurotica still take blows to the face over that shit. People still, you know, so I auditioned for, do you remember that show on, it was on ABC with Tommy Lee and Jason Newsted and what was it called?
Supergroup.
Was it
I think it
Supergroup?
was Supergroup or something.
It
like
was
that.
it was
Gilby
Tommy
Clark.
Lee.
Fantasy
Yeah, Gilby.
Camp.
No, it was the guy that
Fantasy Camp.
it was the guy that did Survivor or oh my God, what is it called? Rockstar Supernova.
That's right. That's right. Rockstar
Okay.
Supernova.
Big fucking network television show.
Okay.
So Gilby Clark calls me, and I, you know, so Benji Gordon was a guy that was at. So we signed with WWE and Vince McMahon and SmackDown with Neurotica. So that was a big fucking deal. It was a huge departure from the underground world that I was accustomed to with Neurotica, and with Atheist. And so with Neurotica, we're moving on. We're doing that, and so Benji Gordon was one of the guys from Columbia. He actually worked with Jeff Buckley, and I love that because I love Buckley so much. You must love Buckley, right?
What I've heard, I don't own it. I may have one record.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know his voice is beautiful.
Unbelievable. Listen, do me a favor. There's a live record called Live at Cine, and it's him in a coffee shop in New York on Monday nights. And it's just him and he's playing guitar and singing, and it's one of the greatest vocal performances you'll ever fucking hear in your life. Just beautiful. So anyway, he worked with Buckley. He used to have to go pick him up and bring him to the studio while they were working on Grace,
Okay.
and which is a fucking legendary album. And so he calls me and he goes, "Hey man, you should do this Rockstar Supernova. It's Tommy Lee, Jason Newsted, Gilby Clark. They're looking for a singer, and they're going to do it with the guy that does Survivor, the producer of Survivor, and it's going to be on network television." I was like, I don't want to fucking be in a cattle call, man. The idea of standing in line with a bunch of people, I don't really. He's no. Gilby knows who Neurotica is, and I was like, what? And so fucking Gilby Clark fucking reaches out to me, and I'm like, oh, now I have to go. So this is during the Big Machine time, Joe.
Mm-hmm. I remember it.
So we played that show in Sarasota. So I take, I'm singing a show, and I take the microphone, and I knock my front tooth out. 2 days before I'm supposed to go fucking on this TV show, you know, like I knocked my front tooth out. So I'm like, I can't go. So I call the producer. I'm like, I knocked my tooth out. Can I send you a video there? No. You got to show up. So now I got to show up, and guess who sang before me? Jeff Scott Soto.
Holy shit!
For fuck's sake, you know. Yeah. So he and
he's
they're all
still
doing
great.
Oh,
Jeff
he is
still fucking great. Man.
Always was, always will be, man. Like that guy's fucking great. I knew who the fuck he was. I was like, there's no way I'm getting this gig. I've tried so hard, and I go to do my audition, and I did 2 Neurotica songs. Everybody else was doing cover songs. I did a song called "Ride of Your Life," which has this middle part, just like pick it a sound, make it all, just put it on, better, gotta be better. And it was like this really fast, kind of scatty part, and Newsted loved it. He was like, fuck, man, it's amazing. So I'm like, trying to fucking hide the fact that my front tooth is missing, you know, like, I'm like, fuck, man. So I go home to Benji Gordon's house that night and wait for the call back. And so I get the call back, and I go back to the studio the next day, and guess who's not there? Jeff Scott Soto didn't get the call back. I was like, get the fuck out of here, man. Wow. So now I'm getting a little worried because I'm thinking, I don't know if I want this gig. I don't know if this is, because it was right on the heels of Atheist making a comeback. So I've had all these weird moments where I'm at odds with opportunity and what I'm afraid people might think. So the same thing happened with Velvet Revolver. I thought, oh my God, if I get Velvet Revolver, how am I going to explain this to the death metal kids? They're never going to forgive me. You know what I mean? And that's a weird place to be, like in your career and you felt that with Watchtower going to Dangerous Toys, I'm sure, like what you're just saying. So
there was a little bit of that, even though I championed Watchtower the entire time. I helped them find a replacement singer. I went out of my way to bring.
You and Takio were friends?
That's how they hooked up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you still friends?
Yeah. Yeah.
How is he? How is that guy?
This is his book. He's got a series of books called Jersey Metal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so he's man, he's doing great. He's still
got range?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's still singing a little bit.
Oh, fuck both of you.
Did you get the Watchtower? Did you get the third Watchtower record?
Tell me the name of it.
Second
terrible.
one with Alan? Oh shit, I don't know. It's got a blue cover. I'm not on it, so I don't need to know what the fuck it is.
I gotta be honest, man. I didn't.
Concepts. It's called Concepts of Math or something like that.
No, I didn't listen to that.
Yeah, he sounds great on it.
I'm a McMaster fucking loyalist. You know, no disrespect to Alan Tecchio, but I remember listening to Tecchio and being like, it just, when you did it, it sounded like it needed to sound. And I don't mean any disrespect but to us as young kids, when we listened to Tecchio do it, it sounded contrived. It sounded more contrived. It sounded like he was really trying to force his way in there into the conversation.
Okay.
That's just how it felt to us. I'm just keeping it real.
You're getting into something that I have that's in my head, and I didn't like it. I don't like it that it's in my head. That when scenario is, and I have a video that I play in my brain of Alan Tecchio on the plane to Berlin to record Control and Resistance after like 2 rehearsals. And he's listening, like, I don't know, in my head, he's got a Walkman on with shitty little earphones, and he's listening to a Sony Walkman on the demo stuff and the energetic tunes and, Instruments of Random Murder and Fall of, and he's learning my shit, right? So he's going over there to record things that are my intellectual property. And that's fine. That's fine. That's not the dig. The dig is when Control and Resistance came out, and you've alluded to when you heard that record without me on it, you had a reaction.
I did.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people did, and I'm not even throwing rocks at Alan. I think he sounds great, but I think that it is different, right?
No question.
So by way of describing that, and living that while I'm out promoting this thing called Dangerous Toys and having a fucking blast, and the record is selling, and it's I'm touring with
video on MTV. Yeah, I mean, like,
and
all
I'm
the good shit.
On tour with my idols and
all the good shit.
It's great. I'm still championing Watchtower. I'm wearing Tower shirts on stage, and I'm the first one to bring it up in an interview with Cream magazine and blah blah blah. I'm from afar, like almost like I'm pining to hear something of Watchtower and the new record. No one is talking about Energetic Disassembly or the band before Control. Like, it's almost like, in my mind, and this is all in my head, and I had to get a fucking grip and realize that that's on me. It's in my head. I'm building that wall, and it's my regret and my guilt.
Not really, though, because we all felt it too.
Well, hold on, because people didn't think that there was anything. Have you heard this new band Watchtower? Yeah, this is the greatest record. This is incredible. And I'm like, yeah, I used to be the singer in that band. And these young kids would go, what the fuck are you talking about? You're in this fucking glam pussy ass band.
That's brutal, man.
And I'm like, yeah, a whole decade before that record, I was in that band.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? So when I realized it's not really their fault, and that no one went out and like, energetic, don't talk about any of that. It was all in my head. I want to bring it back around a little bit. You know those big glasses that you wore?
Yes, sir.
This is my segue. So how it was in my head that I was just like, so mad and letting it get to me that they weren't reliving or making sure like that the world knew, well, there's this record before Control and Resistance. This band has a history, and you should know the whole catalog and the history of this band because of what they mean to the world. Like, Van Halen didn't have a first record. It's only, Van Halen 2. Why are they calling it Van Halen 2? That was all on me. You're you're hiding, you've got protection, you don't
Mhm.
want to make sure you don't really see these guys going, hey, that's the fucking guy from it. What's he doing singing
Yeah,
this?
why is he singing his
what
fucking
is
sissy shit?
rock
This
and roll
fucking
shit?
yeah, yeah,
Right?
dude,
What
it's
happened to
hard.
his heavy shit?
Yeah,
Wow, his voice sounds weird. What, whatever they're gonna say.
yeah,
I feel like it's the same thing, dude.
it is.
I feel like you that was getting to you, and you didn't do anything wrong. It was just because you fucking care.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
care about your craft and your representation. It's not like you came out on stage and said, fuck atheist.
No,
Fuck all. You were probably championing it still. I mean, you said you had a cover
I was
up.
very proud of it. No, I covered my tattoo because I thought it was over. But I definitely was very proud of that music and proud of the
Of
guys.
course.
But I just knew that nobody understood it. So just the same way with Watchtower, people were just confused by it. So yeah, it's a similar thing and it's nice to hear that that somebody else can go through that similar scenario. It's different, but it's the same. It's this coming out of one world into another. And
I like to think that for the most part, people grew the fuck up and came to even enjoy those records that came later from both of us.
Absolutely, that's where we are. In closing,
so.
Joe, fucking you've created this amazing conversation. Thank you for putting this together. But in closing, you and I, my friend Jason, have a lot of parallels in jumping from two extreme opposites of music and surviving, and not only surviving but thriving. And it's like it's nice.
That's
nice
exactly
to be,
why I wanted to have this conversation with both of you, because I knew it was going to go like this. It went exactly how I expected, and it was a fantastic conversation.
I think
any fans of Watchtower or Atheist should love this conversation.
Oh man, I can't wait to text about it and tell everybody when is it going to be available? When how people like make sure you send me that link, because
of course
people are just going to freak out about it. But I think that in final closing, I think the best is yet to come for both of us in music. And I think that people are old enough and wise enough and adult enough now to appreciate all of our chapters in our book of music, Jason. And myself, I'm getting ready. I just signed a deal with Nuclear Blast for my new band, Till the Dirt, and I really want you to hear some of it. It's a combination of my two worlds.
Love it.
And it happened over COVID, and it happened unassumingly, and that's the way I love things to happen.
Yeah.
And it's coming out August 25th, and the first single hits June 23rd, and it's a combination of my two voices. And so I'm excited about our future and being able to finally show that other side of me. There's another thing also I want you to check out. Do you know Steve DiGiorgio?
Yeah, a little bit.
So me and him, he plays with Testament and played with Death a lot of. So me and him just did an Alice in Chains cover, Rotten Apple, and and it just Decibel magazine put it out like 2 weeks ago, and
cool.
So I want to send it over and see what you think about it, but but it's just nice to be able to finally, without having to have the sunglasses on, be proud of the fact that I can fucking scream my face off and I can fucking sing. So, but that it took a while to grow up and feel confident about both. So it's a pleasure to talk to you about these things, because it makes me feel better about the path and to hear somebody else also go through it. And I just have so much respect for you, my friend.
Thanks, man. Right.
We didn't even get into all the other things that you sent me records a while ago. And then you playing with Jason West, and you just don't know what you mean to me, buddy. So I really appreciate it, man.
It's so huge. You're making me get a little emotional, and I'm fine with that. So thank
you. This means a lot to me, man. It's going to mean a lot to a lot of metal kids too. So thank you, Joe.
Awesome.
You fucking handsome devil.
This was great.
Joe's the big daddy of this conversation.
And I didn't even have to work here. I just got to sit back and enjoy it.
Well, I love you both, man. Thank you guys for having me. And Jason, if you can, I know it's far, but if you do decide to come, please let me know so that I can fucking roll out the red carpet for you, buddy.
I'll let you know if you don't have my I'm easy to find, but Joe's got my cell number if you want to just hit me back.
I love that. Thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Guys.
I was excited. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys.
We'll be in touch.
Much.
All right. Stay healthy and safe, man. Love you both.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Take care, man.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.